Hi Kenzie, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Esther and
I'm Alicia.
Yeah, so Alicia is my friend. You've seen her in a couple of my videos. She is from Estonia and she is here for Erasmus.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually I pitched this idea to Alicia. So I was like, hi Alicia, we should film this video about, you know, growing up in an African household versus a white household, and she was on board. So I have like a couple of points, and then I'm gonna mention them, and then Alicia is gonna tell me like how it was on her perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, or not necessarily her experience, but in general, maybe she can say her friend's experience or whatever. Okay, so also for me, this is not like personal experience, this is like in general. So mom and dad.
So for me it's only personal.
No, like I mean not necessarily personal, but it's just general.
I think I'm just speaking for myself, so
yeah. Oh, you'll be speaking for yourself.
I think because I don't know, like I can't speak for
everybody. Yeah, I think because there are so many videos that have been done about living in an African household or a black household, and I could relate to some of the things that those other YouTubers said. So I think on my perspective it could be and could be not personal.
Okay, so my household, even though I'm from Estonia, it's a Russian household, and I've actually seen like many funny YouTube videos of like Russian parents be like, so I think I may be speaking on behalf of Russian families, but at the same time, like if you're Russian and it wasn't the same way, don't get offended.
Yeah, like this is not like representing the whole population.
Yes, that was my point.
Yeah, so yeah, also the African people, don't get offended. Okay, so for me, I think like African parents use fear to raise kids. I think because I mean you guys will get to understand when I say the rest of the points, because sometimes maybe you want to do something and you're like, oh my god, my mom would kill me if I did that, or my dad would kill me if I did that. And it's not necessarily like maybe something is wrong. I think it's just like your parents don't approve of it. So yeah, you guys will get to understand as you know as we go along. Okay, so I think let's get into it. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing, usually like for African parents, it doesn't matter whether you're 10 years old or you're 30 years old. You are still their child. Like you still have to follow their rules. Like it doesn't matter whether you're even 18 or whatever age you are, as long as like your parents are alive, you will have to follow what they say. Like it's like your parents are like the Bible, you know.
Okay, I think for me it was like, as long as you're underage, you have to do what we say, and then once you're 18, you have your own money, you can do whatever you want to. But then I'm 18 and older, and it's still the same.
Yeah, it's still the same.
But I think it has relaxed a little bit since I've grown up. But at the same time, I think I used to like smart mouth my parents more when I was younger and be more annoying. So maybe now that they see I'm a bit more reasonable, I feel like their ways with me are a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, of course, I agree. Like, of course, also for me, like right now, my parents are a bit relaxed, but then there are just some things you just cannot do, you know, because at the end of the day, like that's your mom or that's your dad. There's still that element of fear, you know. Yeah, I think.
I know some kids who basically had to move out and start earning for themselves once they hit like 18 or something. But for me, it's like as long as you're studying, we're supporting you, but don't you dare to drop out of school.
Yeah.
Don't you dare to drop out of school. Like, so basically, I think I have to do certain things that my parents strongly suggest me to do.
Yeah, so I feel like, okay, so like when you're over 18 on your end, it's kind of relaxed, yeah.
Not really. I think my parents are just pretty strict, so I feel a difference compared to when I was younger, but still they are pretty strict.
Yeah, but for African parents, it doesn't really matter. I think even if you're 30, like that's your mom or that's your dad, there's still that element of like, oh my god, you know. Okay, so another point is maybe when you start, for girls, when you start your period, does your parent give you that like sex talk or boy talk, like, okay, now you started your period, like no boys, blah 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 blah. For me, I didn't really get that. I mean, I think like African parents, they shy away from such topics, like topics surrounding sex or topics surrounding sensitive issues, you know, because they're like, it's a taboo to talk about those things openly, so they don't really open up like that. So things to do like with boys or things to do with I don't know, sex in general, I wasn't given the sex talk. I was just told like, don't play with boys. Because it's like when an African parent says don't play with boys, it's like when they see you play with boys, it's automatic like, okay, they're doing bad shit. And bad shit maybe would mean like, you know, things boys and girls shouldn't do at a young age, you know. So yeah, I was just told like, okay, now you have to be careful, you've started your period, no more, you know, fooling around with boys and stuff. So for me, I was just like what do you mean? Like they weren't really clear.
For me, the period talk and sex talk are like pretty separate topics. So I think when I got my period, it didn't automatically mean that my parents thought that they should talk about sex, because I got it at such young age. They were sure I won't be having sex. But then it's like, I think first sex talk that some parents give is when their kids are young, and it's like one day you're gonna start a period, one day, you know, one day. But then it's like when they're teenagers, like, oh shit, maybe they have such thoughts, like. And when I was older, I think for our parents it's always important that you stay safe, right? But it depends on your parents, how they express it, and if they have the right tools and words to tell you.
Like did the talk really happen? No.
But my let's put it this way, in my household there are not just my parents but also like some older generations, and
like your grandparents.
One older family member, I just don't want to put anyone
on blast.
But for her, like, the talk was like, don't do it, don't do it, no sex. Yeah,
but most African parents, they don't really give the sex talk because it's like a taboo to talk about sex openly, you know.
Yeah, but for example, like once I was with my friend in her mom's car, and she and her mom were just talking about sex, and it was like so strange to me. So I think for some people that I know, it's so casual to talk about such things to their parents. And I think my parents have said to me, especially my mom, that I can come to her with any questions, but it's like, you don't really want to, you know?
You're just like, oh, I don't know. I mean, even like for the African parents themselves, I mean, it's not easy for you to see African parents have PDA, you know, like hugging each other or kissing. But for some reason you just see your mom is pregnant.
an only child.
I mean, yeah, for me, I don't have younger siblings as well, but yeah, but you know, in generally speaking, yeah, you wouldn't see African parents hug or be lovey-dovey with each other or whatever. In public, at least, you wouldn't see that.
Fun story. When I was like 7 years old, I actually found out about sex through my friends, not my parents, and I thought that my parents didn't know what that was. My mom was watching like a TV series, and I think like the characters were doing like intense hugging, you know, and I decided to educate my mom on that.
Oh my god.
She's like, no way.
She was playing along. Oh my god. She was like, tell me more. Tell me more.
No, that's so stupid.
Oh my god, I'm pretty sure like she maybe later on she went and told your dad and they're just laughing at you. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious.
I think she doesn't even remember that, but
yeah. Okay, and what is your opinion about, okay, not your opinion, but your experience about, you know, having a boyfriend? Like, I don't think, like for you to go to an African parent and say, hey mom, I have a boyfriend. Like, no, you wouldn't do that. Like, you would never do that to an African parent. Like, no, it's not allowed, or you'll be dead.
okay, no, for me, there wasn't such thing as my parents like keeping me from having boyfriends, luckily. So
luckily. Okay.
No, that's luckily meant that I
okay.
had quite a few boyfriends. I mean, so I hadn't had to be secretive about that, but it was more about like weird friends, like partying, like make sure I'm not drinking or smoking, but the boyfriend things, I think they trusted me that we're just like holding hands and going to movies, and that was what happened. So I had boyfriends when I was pretty young, so, and that was okay. It was a bit awkward, but that was okay. But at the same time, I always like understand why they wouldn't let you date, because they just want to protect you. So
and no, the thing is, like, they wouldn't even say like I don't want you to date. It's just from my young age you're just conditioned like playing with boys is bad.
Okay.
So you wouldn't, so growing older you wouldn't even think that it's okay to go say that you have a boyfriend. You know, so yeah.
But at what age would that be acceptable?
To have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Probably never. Probably
And
never.
then you're just pregnant.
Exactly. And then you're just pregnant. He goes, Mom, I think I'm pregnant. Oh my god. Yeah, because it is that way actually.
Yeah.
Because right now in Kenya there are so many teenage pregnancies.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
so yeah, that's how it is. Okay, and you mentioned drinking and smoking, which goes to like the next point. Like I remember when the first time I traveled out of Africa and came to travel to Cyprus, was my first time traveling internationally alone. And yeah, you guys know I was doing my master in Cyprus, so we would go to class, and then there would be like since it's a 3-hour lecture, we would have a break after 1 hour 30 minutes. Yeah, and then during that break, like I would see my classmates go out for a smoke, and you know, they're my age mates. At that time I was 24. Yeah, I was 24. So my flatmates my classmates would go out for a smoke, and it's pretty normal, you know, and these are girls. Yeah. And in Kenya, you wouldn't see women smoking, honestly. If it's not shisha, you wouldn't see a woman smoking cigarettes. Like, it's not viewed as something nice. Yeah, so smoking, that was a culture shock for me. And drinking, not so much, because even in high school, I would have friends who would tell me about their drinking stuff. So drinking isn't really like, oh my god, you're drinking. No, but smoking, that was like, whoa. And I would even see like people even younger than me, like kids who are even in high school smoking, coming to bars in the evening, and I'm just like, who are the parents of these kids? You know, like in Kenya, if you're in high school, what are you doing in a bar? So yeah, that was kind of weird for me, because if an African parent ever sees you in a bar and you're in high school, like, bro, you're gonna get beat. You're gonna get smacked. You're gonna die, basically.
So in my experience, depending on what kind of kid you are, you either don't care about drinking that much, or it just sparks up a little like curiosity in you. But for me, I was pretty adventurous. I wanted to try like everything, but definitely like my parents didn't like. No way they could know, because they would be like,
yeah.
But when I was a bit older, I think they kind of accepted that I was going to parties from time to time, and that I was drinking. My mom just always told me like, don't drink from the cans and bottles that have been like opened and you didn't see, like maybe someone's going to like roofie or something, and don't mix different drinks, you don't know how it works on you. Like, just gave me like such tips.
Alcohol talk.
Alcohol talk, yeah. And for my parents, like at least for my mom, one thing that she says like, never weed, like never drugs, nothing like that. So, and don't smoke. And also, my parents have always told me like, it doesn't look nice at all when women smoke. It looks so trashy. Like, don't do that. But I had many friends who smoked when they were younger too. But I'm pretty sure their parents didn't know. But at the same time, I'm like, how can you hide it from your parents when you smoke like near your house? Like, you go out, like, don't they smell it? Yeah.
So I found that to be quite strange. Like girls smoking. I was just like, during my first few months in Cyprus, it was like mind blowing. Yeah, so it's pretty different from Kenya and Africa as a whole. I think women don't just smoke openly like that.
For me, it's nothing strange. I'm pretty used to seeing girls smoke, so that for me is the same as seeing guys smoke, I think. But it's just, I feel like less and less people are smoking nowadays.
Really?
Yeah.
Strange. Okay. Now, this is like one thing I know you're definitely against. Spanking.
Okay.
Yeah, like growing up, spanking was just like normal, you know, like you do something small, your mom has already slapped you, or you get a whooping here and there for shit that you did. Yeah, and it was pretty much, even in schools, your teachers were allowed to spank you, your uncle or your aunt, basically. Yeah, like it was part of the day. Like if a day goes by and you haven't been spanked, like that's an achievement. Because even like if you look at your mom funny, they're gonna spank you. No, I just exaggerated there, but yeah, basically spanking is just pretty normal, honestly. And yeah, I know there are some people, it's like people have different opinions concerning spanking, and there's a difference between spanking your child and, you know, something that is abuse. Like beating them until they
giving shit out.
And they start bleeding or whatever, then that's like physical abuse and stuff. So how about you?
I mean, I think it's not that common right now, at least. It's looked at badly, but every time I look at like commentaries, even in Estonia, like in Estonian sites and stuff, like Facebook pages, there are still those people saying like, nowadays, like no one beats children anymore. They could use some beating because look what they're doing. Like the young people are so rebellious. Like you have never been spanked and it shows. So, but luckily my parents never did that. But at the same time, I understand that it depends on the culture too, right? So.
Yeah, I mean African culture, the being spanked it's pretty normal. It's part of the day. Like yeah, it's pretty normal because they say like spare the rod, spoil the child. But yeah. Are you gonna spank your kids?
No.
Yeah, I will probably. I don't know, but probably I will.
I mean, my parents raised my voice a lot, and I personally feel like I'm not sure if I want to have kids, but I don't really want to like yell at them or anything. But I feel like I'm a person who's going to yell if I get irritated. Like I can get angry. So I will probably like. Sometimes someone's on your nerves, you just want to spank them. And you're like, no. It's bad.
Yeah, okay, moving on. Talking back to your parents, like let's say you would never do that. Oh my god, talking back to your parents, let's say maybe you don't agree with their point of view, you just don't say you don't agree. You always agree with your parents. There's no way you're going to say like, but mom, blah blah blah. No buts. If they say this is the way, you say yes ma'am, that is the way. You can't talk back to your parents, otherwise you're gonna get slapped, you're gonna get beat. Like you just can't talk back to your parents. No way. No ma'am. No.
I think it's the same. I'm sure I have forgotten some of the things because I'm a bit older now, but I remember that no smart mouthing your parents, if they tell you something and you kind of question what they're saying you or even like mock them.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they'll be very mad at you because it's their house. It's their rules.
Yeah. My dad would also say that, like, my house, my rules. Yeah, there's no way you would even think of talking back.
And to this day, like, I personally really like having a respectful debate with people, and sometimes I view my parents as people I can, debate something, debate over something with. So, for example, I say, oh, but I think this way, and it brings back memories of them, like, taking it as an attack, and still I think they're not used to me not being a kid who's talking back. I'm like, I'm just trying to have a conversation,
Yeah, I'm not arguing, I'm just trying to tell you my point of view.
Yeah,
I feel the same way as well, because, like, when my mom traveled to America, she left when I was 14. And yeah, it's been how many years now? I'm 26. How many years has that been?
12?
Yeah, sort of. 12. I was like, yeah, it's been 12 years. And sometimes I feel like she still thinks I'm a child. Like, yeah, of course I know African parents, whether you're 30, 50, you're still their child. But for her, I still think she still thinks maybe I'm still that 14-year-old girl she left, because sometimes some things she would say and I'm like, no. And she would think like, I'm trying to outsmart her or make her feel like I'm better than her or whatever. But it's just that I'm respectfully not agreeing with what she's insane. And then she would be sarcastic and she would like, okay, if you don't want to listen to your mother.
Yeah, okay, I really relate to that.
Yeah, if you don't want to listen to your mother, you can do whatever you want. So it's like she's guilt tripping you, you know? Yeah, so at times it kind of becomes tricky, you know?
Yeah, it's like my parents maybe would say like, I know you think that I'm stupid because I'm older, but no, listen to me. No, I just want to agree to disagree, or like.
It's whatever. Okay. So African parents, they don't show you love with words. They would never say I love you. They would only show you. Like they would buy you something that you've wanted. Let's say you got good grades, so they'll buy you something, or even buying you takeout, because African parents are usually like there's food at home. So they would buy you takeout or just do something nice for you, but they wouldn't actually say the words I'm sorry or I love you. Yeah, they wouldn't apologize as well when they're wrong. They wouldn't say I'm sorry. You would never hear that. Let's say if maybe they are wrong and they've realized that they are wrong, they would be like, do you want me to get you something? I'm going to the store. Do you want me to get you something? Or do you want me to do this for you? So that is their way of apologizing. Yeah, so yeah, even when my mom relocated to America, that's when she started saying I love you. But growing up, I would never hear it, like I love you. No, I would never hear it. However, there are things that they would do that are nice. But then when you're young, you don't really understand that to be love. You know, you just think like, they're my parents, they're supposed to do that. But then when you grow up, that's when you realize, okay, that was their way of showing me that they love me and stuff like that. Yeah.
So one thing that I have noticed about Russian families, especially compared to other families that I know, their kids and stuff, is that they are very like huggy and kissy. Like if you're Russian, please like say if you agree or not. But they, for example, some people find it's weird when your mom like kisses you when you're older, but for me it's like very normal. And they also, for me at least, it was that they always told me that they love me. Especially if we had like a quarrel or of some sort, then in the end when everything was alright, they said like, I love you so much, like please understand that. And their way of apologizing after being like too harsh on me was always like, but we love you, please, you have to understand that it's just our way of protecting you, making sure that you will be a decent human being, like we love you so much. But yeah, and I agree that once you grow older, for me, I started analyzing a lot, like what happened.
Yeah, looking back, that's when you understand, like, okay, now I understand. Yeah. And
just conversations with your parents get a bit easier. I think.
Yeah.
Especially when you move out of the country and you're texting back and forward.
Yeah, I also feel like, when growing up, my parents were like 1001% strict. Like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe literally. But then now it's like so easy, you know, and also like I'm also not with them physically, so I kind of have my space, I have my freedom, I manage myself pretty well, so at least there's that, you know.
Yeah, that helps a lot, and I've heard that from many people, that has really helped their relationship with their parents. But yeah, mine were very strict also, but for me it was like other parents, many of them weren't as strict, so you see other kids who are allowed to do more than you are. For me that was the case actually, like even going out to go out to play with friends, like my dad would not let me go out, and I still don't understand it until now. Like I lived a pretty much sheltered life, like it was like no going out, like
it was pretty hard growing up for me. I have to say that for sure. Right now, I just feel like, okay, thank God I'm just done with that stage, because it was brutal, to be quite honest. And I remember, like, there was one time I was speaking to my mom, and I was like, I'm just at home, I don't really feel like going out. And my mom was like, no, you should go out and make friends. And I just told her, growing up, you guys didn't want me to go out. Right now, you want me to go out. I'm already used to staying in the house. I'm already used to being an introvert person.
Yeah, you're raised an introvert.
Yeah, so now all of a sudden you just want me to change my personality, like, okay, I'm going out. It just doesn't work that way, you know?
I was allowed to go out, but still, like, there were certain, like, rules about that. For example, they strongly suggested that I don't go out on Sundays, because the next day will be the school day. And then, like, my friends went out on Sunday, and I had to explain to them, like, why I'm not allowed to, and it was, like, a bit awkward. And also, okay, you can go visit your friend, but sleepovers, it was so hard to convince her parents to stay over. Like, I was allowed to sometimes, but I feel like for other kids it was oftentimes like spontaneous, like, Mom, can I stay here? I will come back next morning. Like, okay. For me, they had to know in advance, and I had to ask when they were in a good mood, and and they were always like, why do you have to stay over? Like, why do you have to spend the night there?
Like, even for me, like, sleepovers, no, even if it was my cousin. Sleepover never happened, never. But the funny thing is, my cousins could sleep over to our house. But me sleeping over to my cousin's place, like, no, never happened. Or maybe eating at your friend's house. Like, why are you eating at your friend's house? There's food at home. Yeah, like, I remember, like, let's say we are visiting my mom's friend, and maybe my mom's friend offers me juice or something. Like, I would look at my mom first, because it's at the back of my head, like, you can't eat at other people's houses. Why are you eating at other people's houses? So it was like a no. Yeah, and then, you know, the funny thing is, my mom's friend will be like, why are you looking at your mother? I'm offering you juice. Take the juice. So it's like an awkward situation. Like, should I take it? Should I not? Yeah. So yeah, that was really weird, actually.
But for me, it was like when my friends came over, my parents were very, very nice to them, and it's another, like, Russian stereotype that actually they are very, very welcoming. Once you come to their house, you are very welcome, and they offer you a ton of things. And I know that my parents always went out of their way to make our guests feel comfortable. So maybe in their head, like, going to visit someone is a big thing, whilst my friends, they were like, yeah, casually, you know, you go to someone's house, then you leave, then you go back, and, you know, parents are just doing their own thing. So my parents were like, we have to make a good impression. So maybe why they wouldn't let me really, like, stay over, like, sleep over at someone else's house, is that they were worried what their parents think of our family. Like, why are they letting their kid, like, sleep at our house, like, something like that.
And then, you know, I think even at this day and age, like, if you look at this thing, like, in a serious matter, like, let's say we're girls, right? And then you sleep over at somebody's house, and then maybe you get molested in that house. Like, if you think about it in that way, maybe you'd understand why your parents wouldn't want you to keep on sleeping over at other people's houses. Because there are even cases of people being molested with their relatives or even their cousins, people pretty much close to you. So you wouldn't just casually all the time let your kids sleep over.
I totally actually understand that, because there have, God forbid, it's so dark, but there have been many stories that are like that are linked to just sleeping at your friend's house, and then they have men in that household who don't have, okay, I know women can be that way too, who don't have the best plans. So right now that I'm older, I get to understand, like, maybe it's for your safety, because even your relatives can harm you. Yeah, I'm not saying my relatives, but you know, in general, like, if you look at it, there are so many cases where kids have been molested by their relatives, their house, or even the neighbor of your relative. You just never know.
Yeah, that got dark pretty quick. Okay, things surrounding mental health and or maybe talking about your feelings or whatever. If you go to an African parent and say, oh my god mom, I'm so stressed out, I think I'm depressed, or I'm just not feeling good mentally, they'll be like, what are you talking about? You don't pay bills, you don't pay nothing, I do everything for you. I mean, you just can't be depressed. Your work is to go to school, get good grades, and make a better life for yourself. These other things you don't need to worry about. I pay your school fees, I put a roof over your head, I basically take care of you. So there's no way that you're gonna be depressed or have mental health issues. But right now things are kind of changing.
Yeah,
right now things are kind of changing. At least in Kenya there are helplines where people can call if they feel mentally disturbed or depressed or whatever. But yeah, and also I think parents are kind of taking this mental health issues seriously, but before, no. Like it was like even seeing a therapist, it was known as, you know, therapists are for white people. No offense. But yeah, that's what like African parents would think, like seeing a therapist, like bro, what are you talking about? It wasn't something that is in our culture, you know. Yeah, but right now things are changing slowly by slowly.
It's not that it wasn't in our culture, but it was like a taboo topic, and I totally agree that this is changing, and I also see that in my parents' opinion it is changing, especially I have had some mental struggles, and I do have to this day, especially like I have ADHD, and I was growing up not knowing that, so I was a tricky kid, let's put it this way, and sooner or later I felt the need to go see a therapist, or maybe someone from my school, like even a teacher recommended that or something, I don't exactly remember, and I felt like first it was a bit embarrassing for the parents to be like, oh, my kid is the type of kid that needs therapy, like they're so smart, no way, I think it's just puberty things, you know, it's just puberty, they will get over that. But now I think my parents like totally accept and think it's good to go see a therapist, and I personally think that like everyone can benefit from getting therapy, even if there's like nothing particularly wrong with you. But at the same time, some people feel like it doesn't help them, so that's okay. But it's no big thing. It's nothing like taboo or embarrassing, or but it's also not like a magic pill that will just help you or something. Like it's.
Yeah, and even before, like, getting a therapist was pretty hard. Right now, you can even get a therapist online. There are so many resources out there which people can get. So yeah, things are changing. So I think, like, from what we've spoken, what we've talked about, the things which are pretty similar, and some not so similar. Some in between. I think it was interesting.
I think there are some similarities for sure. Maybe it's just because I'm from a strict household, and if there was someone else sitting here like telling like, no, my parents always let me do this, they bought me cider when I was 16, we talked about sex all the time, like I know people like that, so maybe that would have been more interesting for you, but
like we said, like we are not a representation of the whole population. Of course there are some people who would not relate to what we just said. Of course there are also some African kids who had a freer upbringing.
Also, if I said something about myself and I said luckily, it's bad, it was bad how you were raised.
We understand. I mean,
it would be weird to say, sadly, I was never spanked.
Sadly. Who would want to be spanked? Nobody. Nobody.
Nobody wants to be spanked, but I don't judge people, especially from other cultures. I'm not in the place to judge them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I think that marks the end of our video. I know it was pretty long, but quite interesting. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Alicia and I are gonna go for a walk now.
Yeah.
And so it's summertime in Malta, by the way. Anyway, let me stop rambling.
I was sweating so hard the whole time.
Yeah. So bye guys. See you on the next one.